6.55 seconds, speed over 212 miles an hour for that alcohol-burning funny car as he defeats John Shoemaker. The other matchup, Ken Veeney in the far lane. In the near lane, Brad Anderson. Anderson getting a little bit out of shape, drifting near that guardrail, and Ken Veeney streaks through to a fine run as he'll match up in the final against Dale Armstrong. Here we move into competition eliminator, one of 8 eliminator categories for automobiles contested here at the NHRA World Finals. This is Anthony Terenzio from Stamford, Connecticut. And that's right, it's a Model T Roadster powered by a supercharged Chrysler. Here's Richard Rosen from New Orleans, Louisiana. Terenzio doing his burnout and breaking a motor as he comes out of the bleach box. Oil all over that right-hand lane. Richard Rosen getting the indication he'll have a single run. The crew telling Anthony Terenzio to shut it off as oil pours all over the starting line. And that does not bear good for the drivers that follow Anthony Terenzio. They're backing the car off the line as Richard Rosen leaves on his single that automatically puts him into the finals. Rosen saving the wear and tear on the parts and pieces as he coasts across the finish line at about 61 miles an hour. And Anthony Terenzio very unhappy with himself, his car, his parts. He gets out, a dejected Stamford, Connecticut driver, doing an excellent job here at the World Finals, and a tremendous distance to travel to have such misfortune. The 2 drivers remaining in the semifinal round of competition eliminator, waiting patiently as the cleanup crew gets to work, utilizing some of the most exotic cleanup devices you'll ever see, including this NHRA Thrush track dryer, used not only to dry up moisture off the track, but also to burn in rosin or blow away grease, sweep. Temperatures over 600 degrees coming out of the tailpipe of that pure jet motor. As it gets into the asphalt, if you stopped the motor, it would actually burn a hole right through the asphalt, so you have to keep it moving. You can see the heat coming up as the oil dry and the rosin burning in to the surface to provide the safest racing conditions for the drivers that follow. And here they are in the far lane doing his burnout, Mark Prudhomme. If that name sounds familiar, you're right. He is a cousin of the famed Don the Snake Prudhomme. He is matched up against Greg Stanfill. Both Econorails, Mark Prudhomme's using the bigger engine, as Greg Stanfill utilizing the small block Chevrolet. Here we see Mark Prudhomme, the car basically a rear engine design similar to the Top Fuel dragsters, maybe a little shorter in wheelbase, using 1 4-barrel carburetor on that engine. Drag racing, NHRA style, with a class for almost any type of car that you can imagine, can compete in NHRA style drag racing, and we're seeing them all right here. This is competition eliminator, semifinal round, Mark Prudhomme against Greg Stanfill. Competition eliminator, of course, is handicap style racing. The handicap allowing one car to have a physical head start over the other. Let's watch close as Greg Stanfill will get approximately 1/2 second head start over Mark Prudhomme. You can see the tree counting down one side, and that's Greg Stanfill's side, allowing him to leave the starting line. Before something going wrong in Greg Stanfill's car, Mark Prudhomme streaks on to an easy win, so it'll be 2 A Econorails. 2 cars utilizing only the 4-barrel transmission, running on gasoline, and an automatic transmission in the finals. Handicap racing is best depicted, as you can see here in this stop-motion replay. You see in stock eliminator, the car on the left has already got the green light. He has left the starting line, while the car on the right has the Christmas tree counting down about halfway. He will have to wait until his light goes green and hope that he can catch the car on the left at the finish line. We'll watch again a replay of the action between Mark Prudhomme and Greg Stanfill in slow motion. You can see Greg Stanfill's lane counting down, and he will leave the starting line first. And then comes Mark Prudhomme. This allows different class cars to compete against each other, and if everything were equal, they would meet at the finish line in a close race, a race so close that you almost have to use the electronic judge to determine who is the winner. So it'll be Mark Prudhomme against Richard Rosen in the final of competition eliminator. We'll be back with more semifinal action from the 1975 World Finals in just a moment. Gary Beck, number 2 qualifier with an outstanding 5:69, coming into this race with about a 148-point lead, and you're really battling hard to win that World Championship. How do you feel at the start of elimination?
Well, Dave, certainly we're pleased with our ETs. Run 574 and a 569. Certainly Garlitz has a lot of potential to run very quick and fast, but we feel that we can run better than that 69. You know, drag racers deal in thousandths and tenths of a second, and we should be able to run a 65 with a little improvements with the car this time, which we could keep moving that national record down. Then at 65, we should be able to run 63, and you might even see a 5.5 this weekend. I mean, this Ontario is a tremendous track, and we have a lot of horsepower, so it's going to be a good old race.
Those seconds spent on the racetrack are backed up by an awful lot of work in the pits, and the cars that you've been seeing on today's telecast of the World Finals are just a few of the over 250 entries for the 1975 NHRA World Finals. The motor's taken apart down to the bare blocks, laying flat on your back, the oil dripping in your face, changing pistons, doing the work on the motors practically between every round it becomes necessary, particularly in the top fuel and funny car categories. Don Garlett's established low elapsed time at a 5:63, the first man ever over 250 miles an hour. Don, how do you feel going into the World Finals eliminations?
Well, Dave, we all feel real good. The crew and I worked on the car last night. Everything is tip-top shape. We didn't hurt anything to speak of yesterday. We nibbled one little piston, which we expected. We put an awful big high speed in it to get that mile an hour. We won't be going for high mile an hour today. We're going to concentrate on winning the race, and I feel confident that I have as good a chance as anybody here.
Semi-final action in Top Fuel Eliminator. It'll be Gary Beck against Herman Peterson, two Greater Northwest area cars. It'll be Don Garlett's against Marvin Graham. Those are the matchups, and you can see the times of the previous round. Low ET, the 5:65 by Garlett's. Gary Beck doing his burnout, getting those tires hot, putting some rubber down on the asphalt. We're at the point of this time in the race, it is rubber-to-rubber contact there at the starting line. The matchup for Gary Beck, Herm Peterson suffered through a terrifying accident a couple of years ago, came back and making his best showing ever since that accident. He is a former Gator Nationals champion. Gary Beck, of course, two-time national champion and the defending world champion. He must win here, as Don Garlett's currently has the point lead going into the semifinal round. Concentration at the start. It's Gary Beck out first. And something going away in Gary Beck's car as Herm Peterson streaks onto the win, a 598 to a losing 622. Gary Beck losing the supercharger belt, the motor practically quitting running at that point. Herm Peterson moving on to take the win, ousting the defending world champion, and it is a dejected Gary Beck from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, that coasts to a stop in the shutdown area here at the 1975 World Finals. The man they call Big Daddy out of Tampa, Florida, matched up against former national champion Marvin Graham from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Graham, not a professional racer in the sense that he earns his complete living at it. He's a TV repairman in Oklahoma City. Don Garlett's, of course, the Big Daddy of the sport, has been driving top fuel dragsters and in drag racing for some 25 years. He has announced that if he wins this world championship and goes over 250 miles an hour, he will retire from drag racing. He has already gone 250. He holds the national record at that point, the first man ever to officially run 250 miles an hour in the quarter mile from a standing start with a piston engine driven car. Don Garlett, you see him on the far side. You're looking at the Christmas tree, the view the drivers get as they approach that starting line, concentrating on that tree, staging properly so they can leave the starting line properly. Marvin Graham up against Don Garlett's. Garlett's with a low elapsed time of the meet at a 5:63, backed up with a 5.65 second elapsed time. Let's watch them as they leave the line. And Don Garlett's just blows Marvin Graham off the racetrack, 5.67 seconds to a respectable, but losing 6.04 for Marvin Graham. So it will be Don Garlett's against Herm Peterson in the finals of the NHRA World Finals. In drag racing, there's all sorts of vehicles, exhibition cars such as this one. Richard Schroeder driving the beautiful Chevy Nova wheel stander, covering the entire quarter mile on his rear wheels. The pads putting out the sparks. This is an exhibition car. Crossing the finish line at a speed over 110 miles an hour, Richard Schroeder and his wheel-standing Chevy Nova. semifinals of Funny Car Eliminator. The burnout, getting those tires extremely hot, extremely sticky. That was Little John Lombardo on the near side. Denny Savage driving the Chi-Town Hustler, matched up against Little John. It's Don Prudhomme and Raymond Beadle in a rematch of the Nationals. We'll see that in just a moment. Right now, Little John Lombardo and Denny Savage approaching the starting line. And Denny Savage with an upset win over John Lombardo, 6.21 seconds to a losing 6:34. The rematch of the Nationals coming up next in semifinal action here at the NHRA World Finals. Raymond Beadle, the winner of the Nationals in Funny Car Eliminator in the Blue Max, against none other than Don the Snake Prudhomme.
Don Prudhomme, you've already annexed the World Championship title, $20,000. You're coming in running as faster than any man in history in a funny car. Does this lessen your desire to win now that you've already annexed the World Champion title?
No, certainly not. That's just kind of a little frosting on the cake, actually. It just kind of adds to it, and it just pumps you up and run a little bit harder. And no, we're strictly out to win the race. Matter of fact, I would trade all that for a win.
Don Prudhomme winning 5 of 7 national events already this year. An incredible record, going up against Raymond Beadle, the man he lost to in the finals at the Nationals. Don Prudhomme, already the quickest car here at the World Finals. Raymond Beadle, the second quickest. Let's see how they do. Leaving the line together, but look at Don Prudhomme. Tremendous time for Don the Snake Prudhomme, ladies and gentlemen, 5.98 seconds. 5.98 seconds for Don Prudhomme. That's the first 5-second time ever recorded by a funny car in the history of drag racing. His speed, 237 miles an hour. Raymond Beadle losing with a 634, shutting it off at 191, knowing there's no chance to catch the Snake. So the Snake goes into the finals against Denny Savage, setting for the first time in history the first funny car ever in the fives.
Congratulations to you. You backed up the 241. You've now got the record at that and the World Championship, the title here at this event. A great show.
Well, I got to say thank you very much, but I can't think of a finer operation NHRA to run at a fine facility like this, like Ontario Raceway. It's probably got to be the best racetrack in the whole entire world.
Congratulations to you down, Wally Park.
That's just beautiful. I think you already know how proud we are of you. Everything that you've done here today just wrapped it all up beautiful.
Well, thank you very much, Wally. Thank you.
Get your congratulations from your crew. Final eliminations from the World Finals in just a moment. A full season of racing coming to the line here at Ontario Motor Speedway as we start into the final eliminations for this 1975 World Finals of drag racing. We'll start with Stock Eliminator. A total of 43 races were contested around the United States and Canada during 1975. 8 national events, 35 divisional races. These racers in our sportsman category of stock, super stock, modified, competition, and pro comp, competing primarily on a divisional level. Here we see the finalists in Stock Eliminator. From Temple City, California, driving for Bob Lambeck, Tim Ekstrand. He's at the wheel of a 74 Duster. Jim Waldo from Richland, Washington says, no, the handicap is not correct. Let's try it again and check yourself and make sure you are correct, because it's all important to him that the times be accurate, the difference between the two classes. The Ford of Jim Waldo utilizing the 4-speed transmission, automatic transmission at the control of Tim Ekstrand. Here you see the handicap being displayed for the drivers. They'll now approach the starting line for the final, and the title World Champion 1975 on the line between these two drivers in Stock Eliminator. Handicap coming down. Tim Ekstrand will lead first. A good light. And here comes Jim Waldo. Can he catch him? And your Stock Eliminator World Champ, Tim Ekstrand from Temple City, California, defeating Jim Waldo. The stock Eliminator cars very similar to those you drive on the street every day. Certain allowable modifications, but basically stock cars just as they are delivered from the factory.